Hi, I'm Rick Dior, and today we're going to talk about stickings. I've done a lot of videos with stickings on the practice pad, showing you different technical exercises, but today we'll talk about how to apply them to the drum set. And most all of these will be coming from my drum set book and also a little bit from the Three Camps book. So the first page you want to turn to is page 7. I know you all are familiar with these rhythms by now. And we're going to combine different pages of this book to show you how I apply different stickings to work on my technique and also different grooves. Part of that little demo was a groove called Samba, crusado, which is called crossing samba, like this. So that's a crossing samba where you're crossing over the left to the right. But in this case, I did it without crossing, leading with my right hand like this. So that's what I call compound rhythms, where one hand is playing some sort of melodic thing. This is very simple, basically half notes between the drums, and the left hand is soloing. If you switch that, then the left hand would be playing the half notes and the right hand would be soloing. And those can be found in my book on page 38 or so, I believe, depending on what version you have on it. But you'll find it. It's part of the Brazilian ostinato section. So if we take page 7 and we plug that in under it, this will be our goal. So to do that, you have to understand the methodology. The first step would be just playing 16th notes and playing all the accents on page 7, alternating. So you're doing this. That's how it goes, all right? And I just did a little bit of the first two lines. Now that bass drum ostinato can come from a lot of places in the book, but in this particular thing, I'm doing that exercise number 2 from the Samba crusado, which is this. Any of those foot ostinatos on that page will work just fine for this. But the main thing is to do those accents alternating. So once again, and then you can also go through the next page, which is page 8 in the drum set book, page 49 in Three Camps. So that sounds like this. You can also use different ostinatos. Let's just pick one out here. If you look at number 6, that would sound like this. Once again, the first 3 lines of that. Okay, and please ad-lib and improvise a little bit, fill it up, make sure it doesn't sound stiff. And you can also do these accents as rim shots, as I was doing there. Now let's apply all of this to the Samba crusado. So in other words, if I maintain those half notes like this, and use source material from page 7, we can come up with some really interesting rhythmic variations. I'll give you a little overhead view of this so you can see what's happening. So we'll just play however many lines here so you can see how that plugs in. So I'll start with the groove and then I will play these accents on page 7, these rhythms under it. Here we go. So hopefully you get the idea from hearing me play that. Now sometimes, as you saw there, you can double up the notes. And that's what you heard me playing in the original solo demo that I did before, in the intro to this video, doing those kind of flam things. It's very much characteristic of the Brazilian drumming style. So hopefully you understand that, and when you see just plain eighth notes, you could play those on the same drum. Just try to experiment with all of this. Listen to a lot of batucada, samba. You can listen to carnival. You'll hear all those hundreds of drummers play that style. I used to play along with that stuff. That's kind of how I would practice this. So I definitely recommend doing that. The next step is to start mixing up stickings. And I'm going to do several videos so they don't run too long. But the one we want to cover today is paradiddles, okay? So that's pretty much the perfect sticking, a right-left and a right-right, or a left-right and a left-left. You have the combination of singles and doubles. So for those of you who don't know what that is, this is what it sounds and looks like. All right, and now the idea is going to be to play paradiddles, but accent these rhythms under it, which is very difficult. If any of you have ever worked on George Stone's Accents and Rebounds or Joe Morello's Master Studies, both books, you'll recognize some of these figures as far as the accents lying within a specific sticking. So let's play a little of this for you, and I'll play the most basic samba rhythm, and I'll play maybe 2 or 3 lines so you can hear what that sounds like. So once again, playing a paradiddle sticking and then playing those rhythms as the accents. It's tremendous for developing your hand technique as well. But I'll do it matched for you so you can see that as well. I'll do a little different foot ostinato. The snare drum's a little high for match right now, but I definitely suggest doing it with both grips. Absolutely, because when you're playing certain kinds of styles, especially Brazilian music, there's going to be lots of times when you are using the match grip. So you want to use all of these different foot ostinatos from that page. If you go on to the next page, you'll see, the next section, let's go to that real quick. You'll see it's called solo ostinatos. All right, and there are many, many ostinatos that you can use. So one of my favorites is this one, number 3, which you're doing kind of a backwards, little clave there. So. And if you turn the page, you have another whole page of these. So definitely something to work on. It's great for your coordination, and it's basically solving a lot of issues at once. Timing, locking your feet and hands together. Technique, getting your hands to be able to play these accents anywhere. All right, and be able to play with a good feel. That's really important. A lot of people, when they try to play technically, the feel just goes away. The whole idea of technique is to play with a good feel. You don't have to have great technique at all to play with a good feel. That's definitely not the case. But if you have great technique, it makes playing a lot of these things a lot easier, and you can relax and you're not tight. Now, as far as speed goes, there is obviously a ceiling for how fast you can play these paradiddles, but normally I'll play them very slow at first, so like this. To pretty fast. So, metronome marking maybe about, like 130 to 140. There are certain lines that are barriers. So line 6 would be your barrier on this page. I'll play that for you. So. All right, so that's pretty tricky stuff there, especially that last measure of line 6. That's your barrier. In other words, however fast you can play that, that's where you should do that page. But please practice slowly. That's the ticket there. Now, after you're doing that, after you've done that, you can start moving your hands around. So one cool thing to do is take one hand and play it on the snare and one hand on the hi-hat and play these kinds of closed ostinatos like this. Then that way the hi-hat's going to open in some interesting places. Let's try that. And let's do another ostinato. If you open it, the hi-hat like this, it gets even more interesting. Let's try that. So once you master that, which is going to take quite some time, and once again, don't forget to do all of the different ostinatos, foot ostinatos on these pages, you're going to want to move to some different stickings. And a lot of these I'm going to cover in other videos, again, so it doesn't run so long. But let me give you some ideas, and then when I do those videos, you will already be practicing these. One thing I like to do are triplets. So you can actually play these rhythms and interpret them as triplets. So each eighth note written will equal 3 16th note triplets. So the first line would sound like this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. But it's just a way of interpreting rhythms. There's not a lot of books that have tons of triplet rhythms, but there's tons of books that have lots and lots of 16th note rhythms. All the Louis Bellson books and the Gary Chester books and Gary Chaffee books, and it goes on, my books. So the 16th notes work great if you can interpret them. You have an unending supply of rhythmic material to work on these. So then once you get those triplets, you can start playing those around the drums. Singles, kind of reminiscent of Max Roach. So that would sound like this. So lots of drummers back in the day were very fond of this thing. Art Blakey's another one who's very fond of doing, the singles. And obviously Philly Joe Jones, another big one. Although he did use lots of double sticking, so. Along those lines. So I would definitely suggest starting to work on the triplet rhythms. So by the time I do the next video, I'm very, very busy these days. So, I'm probably not going to do many videos as often as I have been doing, but you'll have that down. All right? So I hope this will help with your technique, and also some of the questions I get about applying all these stickings that I do in these hand technique videos to the drum set. So we'll just play a little and we'll call it a day.